Hi, welcome to Truckee Talks. I'm your host, Maya Schneider. On today's Truckee Talks, we're going to do something a little different and turn the cameras inside out and take a look at what goes on here at the Channel 6 studios. With me in the first half of the show is John Echols, Executive Director here at TTCTV. John, welcome. You do so much, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes, what you do for the community in terms of the production here at Channel 6. But first of all, what is TTCTV?
Truckee Tahoe Community TV.
Okay.
And what we are is the community studio facility for the Truckee and the North Tahoe area.
Now, when you say a community facility, what does that mean? What does that mean to the folks watching this program?
What it means is that any person who lives in this area can come in and take a series of workshops, get trained on camera and editing and the studio usage, and then can borrow cameras and produce programming for Channel 6. It can be an incredible communication tool or a tool for self-expression, you know, and an avenue for that. So anyone in this area, school-aged people, middle school, high school, whatever, if they have an adult contact in the community, can come in and learn how to do this and then use the facility free.
Now, community TV is almost a return to what the original roots of television were, a medium for expression and getting out there. The current format of television may be somewhat different from where it originally started, but it was originally anticipated or expected to be a medium for educating as well as entertaining, and returning to that on a more community level here.
On a much more grassroots level. So that it's hard to compare community TV with the broadcast or cable area because that's an incredibly professional type of realm. And community TV allows ordinary people, as
Just
opposed
like
to
you and me.
broadcast, exactly, to come in and have a grounding in the equipment, get a camera, and go out there, shoot things, edit it, and present it. And it's usually in a little rougher form and maybe not quite as sophisticated, although our digital equipment is helping that a lot. But the point is, it's communication.
Well, I know there's a lot of programming here that people rely on, and we'll get to that in a minute in terms of local information. But how did TTTCV originate? How did it come to be?
I'll shorten the path. The channel was part of the original cable company where it was used as a community bulletin board. And it went through quite a few kinds of forms as different people tried to make it different things, with some news programming and some local programming, but it tended to falter and didn't have the base that we have of support, which we're going to get to. So about 3 years ago, the school district got involved because of my ROP classes, and we just kind of worked with the person who had the channel. And we started broadcasting more, and we're helping out more with presentations like town council and different shows on it. And then finally, it came to a point where the school district was able to just take the channel as a local origination channel from then Westar, and the school district controlled it for a year or so. Franchise changed hands, it's USA Media now. There was a lot of support from USA Media in getting this facility going. And so now the town of Truckee is the overseer of the community television. It's handed to the district to run as the local agency to run it. And we're running it at the high school with support from USA Media.
Well, John, I know that in this history that you've just laid out, you've been particularly modest because you have really been the steward for this channel since you took it over with your ROP classes. Now, your background was in photography, and were you interested at that time in videography as well? Is that what interested you in Channel 6?
It's one of those things where opportunity comes around, and quite a few years ago, both with the ROP and some things that I was involved with in photography. And I had a fairly small background in video when we actually started the video program about 12 or 14 years ago with ROP. And that I've just had to augment that and learn.
You've certainly grown into it, haven't you?
Grow into it,
Yeah.
and yeah, absolutely. Use all my friends that knew things, and here we are.
Well, you mentioned the franchise agreement. Now, as I understand it, as you said, the channel or the ability to place things on the channel belongs to the town. The town has assigned the school district, and you run the program for the school district in terms of running the program. How is it funded, though? How do you pay for equipment or? here at the studio?
The initial funding a year and a half ago was a startup grant from USA Media as specified in the franchise agreement, which is pretty common when franchises are renewed or change hands. So that was a $60,000 check from the new USA Media cable company here in town. And that allowed us to establish this studio and get some of the basic equipment. I mean, it was fundamental to what we could do.
You know, what people can't see by seeing you here in the studio is where you started out, being in the trailer at the other side of the school. I remember the first show that we taped for Truckee Talks had a round table and a microphone in the middle and one cameraman and funky, and it certainly has come a long way.
It has come a long way, and you know, that just was with all the philosophy we have, I think, which is, well, we want to do a show, let's just do it, and now we want to do a studio, let's just do it, and we have that. To finish off the funding, we get funding from the ads that are on the community bulletin board, plus some other tapes that are shown, and so that's the other half. That's another part of the funding, and there's another USA Media aspect of continuing funding. The $60,000 is gone. It was gone really quickly, but there is a subscriber fee that is handled through USA Media to the town.
Right.
And then those funds find their way to us through the school district.
So per subscriber, and then that's brought back to...
Right.
Well, what are those funds used for, John?
They're used for salaries. We have a budget right now of about $65,000, and they're used for our community television liaison or director. That's Gary McNally, who runs the evening programs and the workshops and the open studios and
he'll be here
the
in
training.
The next segment
and
to
he's
talk
in there
about those
working
programs.
the controls right now.
As we speak.
As we speak. Peter Fletcher is our technician, programmer, editor, shoot footage as needed, and you know, the old jobs as assigned guy
as required.
Who does, you bet, a lot of carpentry, a lot of he's built these things here, and salaries for students during the summer, because the students run the channel in the summer with making the graphics.
I think,
and then equipment needs, and it needs to just run the basic operations here.
There's a point there that you brought up, and I think it's important that people understand this. It's a community channel, and anybody in the community can come in and take advantage of that, and we'll talk more about that in the second half.
Absolutely.
But the students have received amazing training through this. Since I started this 3 years ago, whenever I started, I was amazed at the number of students that participated in this, and how a lot of those students brought that training out into their grown-up lives. They've pursued videography or commercial production, they've moved on to do other things, all because they started behind a camera in John Echols' studio, and I think that's something to be very proud of, and something
well, I am,
to feel good
and
about.
I enjoy working with them very, very, very much. And the focus has shifted a little. We used to do this show during the day so we could use the students. Now we do some shows. We do the pet show during the day still, and that's produced by students, and they direct and do all the jobs that need to be done for that. But we've gotten a little more, focused into the instructional program. So we don't do quite as many of the programs, although they're involved quite a lot with extra hours for a lot of community things like the town council. You know, those are students behind the cameras
Right, you
there.
see a student every time.
And plays or requested video from schools or people. Each student has to do 15 hours out of class time of real video needed by people. We're going to have one or two students at the town portrait doing video, because we're going to use that for the documentary. So it's that kind of thing where they're out and about all over the community with this kind of thing.
All the more exposure, all the more experience,
Yes.
and really fulfilling the needs of the channel. Well, what are the short-term, long-term, mid-term goals for Channel 6? Where would you like to see TTCTV go from here?
We've just kicked open the door, I think. I see a lot of things happening. Right now, we've really just begun to hit our stride, thanks to Gary's leadership in running the evening portion of this with the public. Things are running very smoothly. Usually the edit bays are busy every public night here. So what we want to do is extend that. We want to make ourselves better known. There's a plan for Gary to go out and do outreach and go to all the nonprofits and all the groups in town, for one thing. This could be an excellent place for different groups to voice their messages or to sponsor shows about things they want to communicate, as well as just tell about themselves. And then we want to further that outreach just to the public to say, here we are, here are the things you can do. Come in and have some fun and build the base of the people who are using this.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. As you go out to the community and you get more people involved, more people will want to come and air programming, they'll want to create programming.
Hopefully.
Who has editorial say over what goes on the air?
There are guidelines that are common to all stations like this, community TV, which are out there in many different guises. So there's some just basic kinds of things. We are able to control content, and it's based on a kind of a community standard kind of thing.
And that was part of the franchise agreement.
It's part of the franchise agreement, and so it's a family channel. It's intended for a very, very general audience. So it's kind of suffice it to say that we're looking for material that everybody can see, that's informative, that's fun, it can be creative, it can be lots and lots of things, but there are rules about what can and cannot go on.
Sure, as you say, community standards.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely, and every producer is well aware of it, and just like all the stations do, they sign something that says they're aware of that, and so we try to make it pretty clear-cut.
John, fall is here, and one of my favorite things to do in the fall is go out to Surprise Stadium and watch the football games. Well, what happens if I can't make it out there? Are you going to be broadcasting the games this year?
We certainly hope to, and the plans are, they're moving along. We're going to wire from here on out to the stadium. We're already wired to the gym, because last year we did 2 live basketball games, and that will continue this year.
Great.
And tape replays of that. So we will do what it looks like 2 or 3 of the last home games of football and 2 of the soccer games as well. Anything that's in the stadium, because that's where our point of origin will be. We have interest from a couple of people who might want to announce the games. We're wanting to know if anybody else would like to, have some experience or
the next
help announce. Exactly, or Dennis Miller. That's a really exciting plan, and I think people will like it. It'll be on a tape delay basis. Maybe Tuesday night football, we'll be announcing it broadly when it happens.
That would be great. So will people be able to find that schedule by...
Yes.
How do people...
Well, we're ramping up. Today we're working in the Channel 6 class, which is a high school elective class that does all the graphics and does a lot of the business of the TV part of this. We're working on spreading the word. Today they finished printing out a template for a This Week on Channel 6 that we're going to put on bulletin boards every week all over town and put stacks on the library counter and around town. So every week we'll do a route and put flyers about This Week on Channel 6 and name the programs, plus access to the newspaper, which we've been working together to get something in the newspaper regularly.
Yeah, it would be wonderful to have something
yes.
in the summer.
And then on our own Channel 6 schedule, we have a schedule that shows as well. But
and what
we need
about
to
our
get more out
friends?
there.
You have a website.
We have a website, ttctv.org.
Just
That's
like
it.
that.
Yep,
and you can find the schedule for Channel 6
and
on there.
the play schedule is on there as well as the studio schedule for public TV, plus a virtual tour. You can click around and see views of the studio and different things like that.
Well, as long as Jeff Davis isn't inserting any blooper film footage into the website, I think we'll be okay with that. Where is TTCTV? You and I have been talking about it because we know where it is, but if the public wants to find you, John, where do they find you?
We're at Truckee High School, and I would like to say that we talked about funding and support. What we don't pay for is the overhead on this building.
Yeah.
And so we get school district support in a big way, which is maintenance and the lights and the heat and everything like that goes on, because I do teach 3 classes here, plus we run it out. So that's huge support as well. We're in the high school on the west end, where you might consider their bus garages. And you can see a little map right there. If you turn right before Northwoods Boulevard, there's a driveway between the district office and the bus garages. Turn down that driveway, go down to where the building ends, and we will be having signs up before the snow falls. We will have some signs too.
And they'll be higher than the 3 feet level, so you can see them when the snow falls.
You can find it, and really encourage people to call and then come down and visit or come in on the workshop nights. And the webpage also lists when the workshops are.
That's great. And coming up on the next segment, we're going to be talking more with Gary about the workshops and how he's formatting those, so that people will know, how to come down and be a part of this. I think it's exciting for people. People have asked me a number of times, well, how did you get involved and how did you get thrown on TV? And I think the answer is literally I was thrown on TV. I didn't step back fast enough when they were looking for volunteers. But here it is. There's programming that you can put on the air. Absolutely, and we'll train, and it's exciting. It's a be there. You're interested? Come in. No experience required whatsoever. Just an attitude to do something different and help, and we also need just volunteers. Like they're behind the camera right now that aren't making shows. They just enjoy working here in this environment with exciting people like you. That's right, the stars of the community. With that? You can also contact the studio at 582-1194 or look us up at ttctv.org, and those are two good ways to get a hold of John. Absolutely. Before we close out this segment and bring Gary on, I just want to say again that you don't get enough recognition in this community for everything you've done, but I appreciate it. And you and I have had the chance to work together for a number of years, and it's been a wonderful experience for me. I thank you for everything that you've done, and I know the students and the folks that have processed through Channel 6 have all learned something from you. So congratulations. It looks like you've really, as you say, opened the door and you're on the way with the studio. Thank you very much. It is a true pleasure, let me tell you. And what are we on, show 55 or 60 here? 6? I can't even keep track anymore. All right, well, stay tuned. We'll be back in just a minute with more Truckee Talks, and we'll bring in our next guest, Gary McNally. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Truckee Talks. Our show today is on Truckee Tahoe Community TV, and the second half of our show features Gary McNally. Gary, nice to have you here on the show. After 56 episodes, it's finally put me on. You know, it took a while for you to convince me that you should be on the program, but it's nice to have you here. Remains to be seen, I'm sure. Well, that's true. We have 12 minutes to find out. We can make it that long. What folks probably don't know is that Gary and I have had the opportunity to work together for 3 years longer, 56 episodes of Truckee Talks, and it's been really a joy for me. But Gary, your title now, you have an official job at Truckee Talks, or not Truckee Talks, but Truckee Tahoe Community TV, which is the community coordinator. Yeah. What do you do as community coordinator? My main focus is producing local programming. I spearhead a lot of it, organize volunteers like out there, and right now we've got Paul Rose and Jack Davis, and basically put people together, bring them here on camera, and shoot what I hope is interesting. And beyond that, we have a bunch of people that we train to produce local programming on their own. So whatever they want to produce, they can produce too, pretty much. And then you're also an instructor here. Yes, I teach a few classes in editing, camera work, video production, studio production, those types of classes. Well, what if, let's say somebody out here in our television audience is watching this and they say, you know, I want to get involved. I want to produce a show. I want to learn what it's like to be behind the camera. I want to be on a show. How do they do that? What is their first step? Call me at 582-1194 and tell me what they have in mind, and I'll set them up with a class or two. Cross country over Tioga Pass, you'd come in here and you'd take one class in basic video production to learn what you need to do to produce a show, and then the second class for 2 hours would be camera work, and we'd show you how to operate a camera. You check out the camera for free, take it up on your trip, and then bring your footage back, and then you'd have to take the 2-hour course on editing to show you how to put all the clips together. The finished product together. The finished product together. Well, it's actually Sonora Pass that I'm going to the end of this month. So I may check into that. Okay. But seriously, on a note, what do these classes cost, and what's the financial commitment if somebody wants to come in and learn about this? Right now they're free, and at
I don't know if it's always going to be that way, so it'd be a good idea to get on down here or
Jump on
call
in.
me up. Yeah.
Jump on in.
Yeah.
You know, I know a lot of people have started to filter through this program. When we moved into the new studio here, I started seeing a lot of new faces and different faces. And when you came on board as the community coordinator, there was suddenly a hub of activity. And I don't know that people will appreciate all of the educational opportunities that are here to learn about video production, studio work, and all of that. But it's a great opportunity.
Absolutely. A fascinating class was done by Bill Furnell. It was a 2-hour class. He's a man with over 20 years of broadcast experience, and 2 days of just wonderful education. It was the best thing that I've been to in my 5 years of TV production.
Well,
So yeah, we have some great classes down here.
Let's go back to the Sonora Pass. Let's say I want to go to Sonora Pass where I'm going, but I don't want to bring a video camera with me. What happens if I just go down and snap a few good pictures? Can I come back and do anything with that?
Yes, could bring your photos, maybe a friend or two who went on the trip, and just talk about the trip, put up the photos, talk about the photos, and just kind of a travel log, a slideshow, essentially. And, you know, let's fill the channel up with some interesting stuff.
Somehow I don't think my travel partner would be interested in that. But that's, again, it's a good opportunity for people to be putting different things on the air. As John pointed out in the first half of the show, this is community television. This is an opportunity for the community to share with one another entertainment, education, and just a way for people to express themselves. So it's almost an art medium as well as an entertainment one.
Absolutely.
What kind of programs have been produced so far?
Well, as far as people producing their own shows, we've had a lot of musicians in here, a lot of bands. Basically, Peter Nevin and the Deckheads were in here, 1888. Mary McKee and the All-Stars, Tama All-Stars.
I think you had Joe Mama, Paul Coverell.
Yeah, POS band as well. Promise is coming up real soon, and Deja Vu is coming up real soon, so watch for that.
And then you've also had some ski shows, some travel logs, you said?
Right. And as far as stuff that we've produced ourselves, we've got a play coming up by Mary Stamps called The Journey that she's been working on all summer. We had about 30 people in here on this stage one night jumping around and whatnot, and it's gonna be an incredible show. It's gonna be coming up real shortly, so watch for that. And Jack Davis and I went over to the Thunderbird Lodge last couple of weeks ago and filmed in a very interesting environmental summit by about 12 of the experts on Lake Tahoe. The guy from Tahoe Research Group was there. I can't think of his name.
I want to say Goldberg.
Yeah, right. Goldman. But Tarpa was there. Excellent show. That'll be on in about a month's time, a special 5-hour presentation, I hope.
So the Thunderbird Lodge Environmental Summit, that's not another word for a weekend drinking binge with Jack Davis, is it?
No, Jack doesn't do that.
Because-
Of course, we all know I don't.
Well, and now we're back to real TV.
Yes.
Well, tell me a little bit about what else you have in the hopper. You've got on the short-term radar screen some other shows coming up or some other production.
Yes, my baby right now is Sierra People. We've got the staff trained, the camera people trained, the tape directors, audio directors. We're having auditions next week, but actually when this thing plays, it'll actually have already happened. For host, we got about 12 people coming in for the host job on that show. It's called Sierra People. What it is, it's about interesting local people in the Tahoe, Truckee area. Their careers are interesting, their life stories are interesting, maybe even some old timers that can tell us about the past a little bit. We're looking for those kinds of shows.
Boy, I bet anybody watching this could think of a few names to throw into that.
And I would appreciate it if you could call me and we get something set up.
Oh, that's great. Okay, so again, if you know somebody that you think might be appropriate guest on that show, and again, that's called Sierra People.
Yes.
When do you think that'll start airing, Gary?
First part of October, I hope.
How many hours of programming are you hoping to get on Channel 6?
I'm hoping to fill it up so we can get more channels.
24/7, and you heard it here.
And of course, we've always done the city council and...
The town council.
Excuse me.
That's all right.
And we've been doing the school district
That's right.
for quite a while, and we hope to expand that a little bit too.
And speaking of local politics, we have some elections coming up this fall. Will you be covering any of that on Channel 6?
We're going to have, probably haven't figured out exactly how it's going to go, whether it's going to be a debate or whether we're going to bring all the candidates together for one night, or whether we're going to separate out the different offices and have them here each different night. But yeah, we're going to definitely cover that.
So for all you campaign managers out there,
Yes.
you can call the studio
Absolutely.
and put in your 2 cents worth.
Absolutely.
Okay, well that's great. Gary, it sounds like you've got so much going on.
I do.
And a lot of activity, and we want to get more people in here.
I would like to, yes.
Well, I know I did this in the first section to John Echols, and I'm going to take some liberty and do the same thing here. You and I have had the chance to work together for a number of years on this, and it has been a learning and growing experience, but it has been a singular delight for me to work with you. You're my shooter. And that's
a
an
good
inside
thing.
joke. That's right, and that's a good thing for anybody that doesn't know that. That's studio jargon.
Yeah.
But it's certainly been fun learning from you.
And me likewise. You're the best. I wish we could get you down here more often. You're a pro.
Is ABC out there watching this? I want to know if there's any scouts, because clearly I'm not the one they need. But
One take Maya.
and that's another inside
Yes.
joke. All right. Well, Gary, thank you so much for all that you do here at TTCTV, and thank you for sharing with our audience what's going on. Again, if you want more information on what goes on here at TTCTV, you can contact Gary or John at 582-1194 or log on to the website at ttctv.org. Those are great ways to find out what's going on at the studio and also to find out how to get more involved with the studio. Thank you so much for joining us here on Truckee Talks, and we'll see you next time.